Good morning, everybody. I am not drinking a coffee in the morning. It's an interesting experience just to do this. All these self experiments that I do are, it's just curiosity. And I know that I can always go back to things. It's easy to go back into the old patterns, and I can do this anytime. But first, I want to feel this reset completely. And yeah, I just want to see, just want to know the unknown, right? How does it feel without all of this? Anyway, I just watched a video from Professor Sam Vaknin about authenticity, and it came to my mind, it became clear that authenticity cannot be observed. So on YouTube, everybody's looking for authenticity. When we hear authenticity, it feels like, oh, we want to see it. We get very curious. Oh, do you have authenticity? Please show me authenticity. But the paradox is, to be honest, on YouTube, there is no authenticity. You cannot observe authenticity. As soon as you can observe it, it's not authentic anymore. If you want to know about this, you can watch the video by Professor Sam Vaknin on his Nothingness channel. He claims, by the way, in this video that Nietzsche is a narcissist. That's not true. That's a narcissistic, competitive reaction of Professor Sam Vaknin. Nietzsche, of course, inflicts a deep narcissistic injury in Professor Sam Vaknin because Nietzsche is the father of all modern psychology. He is the father of Sigmund Freud, who was extroverted, and Carl Gustav Jung, who was introverted, of these schools of psychology. Excuse me, did I say philosophy? So Nietzsche was a proto-psychologist and is the father of psychology. And of course, all the recognition he gets because he was the most impactful person in the last 1,000 years. Of course, this, yeah, Sam Vaknin would be the same. I think he want to have the same recognition. Therefore, he must label Nietzsche as a narcissist. Anyway, but he can do this just like I can do it. We are not licensed to diagnose people, but I have to respect him, Professor Sam Vaknin. I have to respect that he does it. He knows a lot about narcissism. And I also observe patterns in people I really know. And I claim that this is narcissism, covert narcissism. Therefore, I'm here. The thing is, I wanted to share this message that authenticity cannot be observed and speak about why I came to YouTube. I came to YouTube obviously as a reaction to being discarded inside a narcissistic family cult, and I removed myself, obviously, and I have had, of course, existential angst, existential fear in the process, because the gates of the cult closed. All communication was centralized to a person with psychopathic traits. So a person that took the control over the communication naturally. I think I experienced coercive control patterns, and I think I also experienced, so the coercive control is the framework that is very subliminal and is a form of sabotage by the psychopathic person. But there is something else that is rather I attribute it to the covert narcissist, and these are true manipulations of the environment, where someone, let's say, paints something on a wall, or makes a sign somewhere, or puts something into your place, you know, like they position objects or symbols. And it's both as a form of gaslighting, coercive control, and this covert narcissistic stupid stuff, these mind games. This is a form to make you second guess yourself, to derail your sense of reality. And yeah, as a reaction to that, because nobody validated my version of the story, when you hear the story of on the side of the narcissistic family cult, you will get a picture of a pseudo-mutual family where everything is moralized, generalized, belittled, and rationalized, while my point of view will not definitely not be included. My critical, analytical point of view will not be represented. Um, so, in an attempt to preserve reality and my point of view for the future, as well as for my children, as well as for everybody who wants to know another side of the story, I went to YouTube. If these people don't want to speak about it, if they don't want to reflect about it, if they think they want to move in callous, unemotional, morally not acceptable ways, um, if they want to break promises and even sacred bounds of marriage in church, that's fine with me. That's fine with me. But I will speak up about this and I will preserve my point of view. Well, what I also want to communicate in this video right now is that I've realized on my channel through the experience of others also something about the nature of covert narcissistic abuse. So I feel I have a few followers who struggle very much with the recovery from covert narcissistic abuse. And I think ruminating seems to be a big topic, meaning that the negativity of the covert narcissist, they have no access to positive emotions. So their grudge and hatefulness, they are able to put this on another person. They do this by stealing something from the person, by mimicking the person, by replacing the person inside the shared fantasy space. So a covert narcissist cannot really replace another person, for the covert narcissist is not a person themselves, and they are not functioning fully. A functioning person can fulfill the role of working a job in a company without having problems with all the people and being in some strange circle of victim and savior and oppressor role. They always bring forth these roles in the conflicts. So a healthy person is able to work, to be employed or be an employee. A healthy person is able to be a parent for their children, a functioning parent for their children. And a healthy person is able to be a husband or a wife in a functioning family. So a lover in this setting, all the three simultaneously. A healthy person can, of course, also have a life for whatever reasons. where they only have to fulfill one or two or three or more roles. Of course, there's more roles than what I said. You know, you can be socially. You might have more roles in social settings. You be you be in clubs. You do initiatives. You're politically engaged, and a healthy person again can be in all these roles without having these disturbances with conflicts that are based on these roles of savior, victim, and oppressor. They can solve problems. They do not stuck in these cycles. Okay, so the covert narcissist cannot do all of this. He is dysfunctional. So he can't replace you. He just does it inside a shared fantasy space. That's the trick, meaning there is vulnerable targets around, and codependence means it's a psychopath around, and they have a deal about sexual services, about money, about child support money, and transactional services. It's a deal. And there is vulnerable targets around. There's children who can change the situation. They are they are forced into the presence of these dysfunctional people. Okay, psychopathic and covert narcissistic people. The children can't run away. They can't be discarded. All right. They can remove themselves out of the malignant shared fantasy space, and so the children are abused in some way, mistreated. Sorry, it's not allowed to say certain terms, otherwise, I am the problem. So they are misused to validate the shared fantasy. Inside the shared fantasy, a person is replaced, but the person cannot be replaced because the covert narcissist is dysfunctional in all regards. Okay, so this is where the ruminating comes from. This is how it works. The covert narcissist lives inside a safe shared fantasy space that he stole from someone else, and inside this space he is validated and celebrated for his dysfunction, and this creates emotional dissonance in the victim of this clown's theater. Means people ruminate after this because they can't believe what they see. They see there is a person that they have invited in their house, in their private sphere, into their life. Then the person plays victim. Then the person starts to mimic the original person and wants to replace the person. This is a mechanic called malicious envy, and it starts to undermine, and it's a form of conquering via smearing, meaning the environment gets so dirty and so manipulated by this parasite that you abandon your own home because it's not home anymore. And then inside this, and then suddenly that they play savior, like they are now the savior of the situation, and they block communication to you, even though so they switch the power dynamic. And in the beginning they were highly reactive to you, and now you're reactive to them, but you can't reach them anymore. This is how they try to switch the narration and the reality, but it's only possible inside the safe space of a shared fantasy. So the covert narcissist is a frustrated child, and it wants to make you a frustrated child. This is why this conflict is so intensive, because it regresses you. It regresses you in being a child that says, but this is not fair, but he did this, but he started it. Yeah, nobody's interested in this in the grown-up world, and I don't care. In some way, some voice in me says, I don't care for the covert narcissist. He's a dysfunctional, cowardly beep. And so what? The problem is the enablers. The problem is the psychopath who covers this, or hides behind indifference, all right? That's the problem are the enablers. A covert narcissist reaches nothing in life. They go to jail or to asylum or live from off social welfare, okay? They are impotent, 100% impotent. They are children, helpless children, victims. The problem is the enablers. This is the real problem. All right? But I realize that a lot of people struggle with the covert narcissistic abuse and the ruminations, and as a result, they become more like their abusers because, you know, the experiences you was empathetic, you was open. I tell you what, you was naive, and then you experience this form of switch that I showed you. But it's all pathological. It's all pathological and not real. So we have to overcome it in some way and forgive ourselves and them for being what they are. But it's not easy. It's not easy because of these ruminations. But it helps to understand that this is just all pathological, and you lost nothing of worth. You lost nothing that was real. Who wants to live in a shared fantasy with a psychopath who validates and rewards pathological dysfunctional behavior, right? Nobody. That's not something with future. That's something that is dying. That's a dying organism. So you lost nothing that is worth anything. Maybe you created something that could have lived. It might have been a healthy organism the way you created it, but it is infected now and it is bound to die. So you can save it. That's life. Life means try again. Life means build something new, and be careful that you don't invite infective, contagious parasites. You need to build something that you keep hygienic and protected, right? And begin with yourself. And don't let the parasite and the ruminations eat you up. It makes no sense. You're not a frustrated child. You're not a helpless child. You're someone that was in a conflict with a frustrated child, and frustrated child showed you all his frustration, all his, it begin with the neglection of their mother, rejecting them and telling them that they are unlovable. But this has nothing to do with you, even though the person projected these feelings on you. That's them. It's them. It's not you. So keep on going, and tell you once again, the covert narcissist is not in existence. It's the enablers. The enablers have to take the responsibility, and if they don't take them, they are psychopaths. All right, see you in the next video.